3, 2, 1, and trigger warning, spoiler alert. Hi, coach me in my banter, please. You are experiencing the Tom Kelly Show, the podcast that exists between the midlife crisis and the quarter life crisis. This is the podcast where the offbeat come to meet. I am here with a friend, I guess now. You're officially a friend in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I talked your ear off long enough.
Oh, wow. You know, it's funny how charming you were on the sofa and now you're in comedian mode. Gear shift, my friend. I'm here with comedian and what do you call yourself? A banter coach? A dating coach?
Banter coach.
Okay, banter coach, which will explain what that whole thing is. Kristen Carney. Kristen is a stand-up. I met her, for the first time. I feel like I've seen you. We've been around each other, but I met you for the first time at Sheba Mason's Three Monkeys speakeasy thingy.
Yes, sir.
And you were funny.
I'm always funny.
Okay, well, and confident.
So, I mean, no, I'm actually so self-deprecating.
Okay.
And I'm like, I was funny?
Always
really?
funny, always self-deprecating.
Always self-deprecating, never funny. So it's perfect that you have me as a guest.
Okay, and it's funny. I got into a big argument with Greg Giraldo's son over that. His 22-year-old son is doing stand-up. Greg Giraldo, for those of you who don't know, he was a comics comic.
He was like
a legend in New York, if not nationally, and then died unexpectedly about 12 years ago.
And it's such a shame because of like the way the world is right now. He would be the voice that we need.
He would be, and he was kind of like, he came up with the Bill Burrs,
yeah.
You know, he was with the Jim Gaffigan generation. He was on Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn all the time.
Yep.
And anyway, his son, and I met his son out in Governors, out on Long Island, and his son was like, blah, 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 I'm not funny, you know, but like he was kind of being that, and I'm like, I don't think comedians should do that self-effacing thing.
No, they shouldn't. I actually, I met a long time ago. The first time I met Big J Okerson, he said, we were on the steps of like the Comedy Cellar, and he said, "Are you funny?" And I had just started doing stand-up, and I thought comedians were supposed to be self-deprecating and self-hating,
right,
and neurotic. And so he said, "Are you funny?" And I was like, meh. And,
okay.
And he's like, never answer like that ever again.
It probably took me the first 10 years in to at least say that out loud. I'm even at a point in my career where I am trying to stop the habit of acknowledging when I'm not getting the laugh. Now, part of that comes from being the warm-up comedian, being this, that, or the other thing.
Yeah.
But I'm trying hard to not get into I didn't get a laugh humor.
That's hard. It's because you want to call out the elephant in the room.
Right.
And in your mind, it's like, you know, a massive elephant, but to other people, it's maybe a little baby elephant or even like a little kitten. Like they're not paying that much attention.
Right.
But in our heads, when you don't get the laugh, it's like, oh, I've got to call this out. If I don't, then I'm, you know, but
and
really,
also,
if you just keep going,
like
that's the better option.
When you point out an insecurity, the insecurity gets worse.
Yes.
Which now brings me to your career.
To my chest. I have no boobs.
And you know what? I noticed now. Thank you for that. 2 weeks in a row, by the way, 2 episodes in a row, we started with boobs. You'll have to listen last week to get that reference. Anyway, back to you, your boobs, and me feeling like a boob. Banter.
Yes.
What is banter?
So,
and actually, you're a banter coach.
Yeah. I'm a banter coach by default. So
you're making a living on it. I'm
making a living on it. It's my business. I was doing a podcast. So a long, long, long time ago, right as podcasts were starting, I was like, you know what? I don't love being out for stand-up every night. I want a podcast. This is a way to talk and be funny and meet people without having to be this hardcore 8 days a week kind of comic.
Right.
So I was looking for opportunities or like niches to get into. So it wasn't just two girls talking or whatever, you know? And so I met this girl because I was working for this website called AskMen.com. And
I know Ask Men. I read it a lot for my radio writing. Yeah, they're great.
They're great. They're like an Esquire kind of men's lifestyle.
They're still around, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as I know,
yeah, I used to read them all the time.
Yeah, so I was doing videos for them, like comedy videos, for not comedy. No one would be like, oh my God, that was so hilarious. But basically videos for men. So it would be like, what gifts should you get your girlfriend for Valentine's Day?
And you were the hot funny girl.
And so it'd be me and one other girl, and we try to make it entertaining. And then I would go to like their like red carpet things and try to like interview celebrities.
Okay.
So they had us do one video called Ask Women, and I emphasized the K, not because I'm racist.
Not ass women.
Yeah,
but ask
right,
women.
because everyone thinks I say ask women, which would probably get like way more downloads if we were ask
and
women.
probably get me banned from several podcast directories.
But unfortunately, we're Ask Women because of Ask Men. So Ask Men had us do a segment with men writing in questions, and there were 4 of us women answering questions. And one of the girls that was doing it was Sofia Vergara's cousin. So it was like
Oh my
it was
God,
like
I
the
hate credits.
off-brand. It was the off-brand Sofia Vergara.
Gotcha. Okay. Kind of like how there's always a new Wayans relative.
Yeah, exactly. But she was still super hot and made us all look really ugly. But the girl who was leading it was a dating coach. And so I talked to her after, and I was like, I think this would be a good idea for like a weekly podcast.
Dating or banter?
Dating.
Okay.
So at the time I had a boyfriend, and we were together for a long time.
Okay, we're going down a long road for a second. Let's start with this. What is banter first? Because we're 6 minutes in. I want people to know what that is.
So banter is just a fun exchange of words back and forth in a teasing and playful way. But some people will say banter can get harsh, like, too ball busty.
Okay.
But in a dating sense, you keep it at that fun teasing level.
Okay, now I think because that's, and we could get into the whole podcasting, what you've done and all that stuff in a minute. Banter, to me, is it different than conversation?
Yes.
Okay, what's different about it?
So conversation is a lot of information exchanging. It's a lot of one note energy. So someone talking and then you responding back maybe politely. It's a little bit more job interviewee in a sense.
Right.
Whereas banter has different ups and downs. And so you're never in this one, you're never in this like one zone of conversation. It's like you're going to like tease someone, and then you're going to connect on a point, and then you're going to debate a little bit and kind of break each other's balls.
There's an energy to banter.
It should look like a heart monitor, basically.
So you and I have been talking, on the sofa before the show. Did we have banter or were we talking?
We were talking. We had conversation.
Okay. Now, banter, I feel like, is better than conversation if you're trying to get laid, for lack of a better word.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. You, as a comedian who was doing, hosting work for Ask Men, decided to turn this into a career. What do you do?
So what I do is, the reason I was kind of going boring everyone and explaining my whole career path was because, so I was doing the podcast with the dating coach who is still my co-host. Her name's Marnie, and she was giving actual advice. Actionable advice as well, I should say. So it's like step 1, step 2, step 3 to get the girl, that kind of stuff. I was making commentary because I didn't give a crap about dating because I had a boyfriend.
Gotcha.
Then I broke up with my boyfriend.
And suddenly you're invested.
And suddenly I was like, oh my God, I haven't been taking this podcast seriously, and there's actual things to learn. I didn't think you could learn how to date or learn, how to be better versions of yourself. And so when I went online to date, it was the first time I had ever, used a dating app. So I had never used
What was your first dating app?
Tinder.
Okay, that's actually a great spot. The swipe right sort of apps is a great spot where banter might be needed more than...
Yeah, so I noticed, so I was on there as a comedian, and no one on there is a comedian for the most part. Maybe every once in a while you think they think they're a comedian, just like me. So every conversation was the most boring, mundane, dull conversation. And in order to feel attraction, I needed to have something from the guys.
So if I match with you on Tinder, okay, and maybe I have, or maybe I've at least swiped right on you. We've been in the same city.
It was you in the undies.
Okay, you know what? It is me in the undies for sure. And we'll talk about whether or not that's a problem on the next show. That said, I match with you. What do I say to you?
So what you want to say is you want to say something clever, unique, different, and something that she's never heard before, which is what I have a formula for what to say.
Okay.
But it's never a one size fits all.
So it's not a one size fits all that you're going to say, hi, I'm Tom Kelly, I'm a comedian. And it'll be like, hey, did you see my bald spot in my puppy? I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm making that up off the top of my head.
I mean,
but like, do you
that's unique.
Like, hey, baby, what's your sign? Like, that was always one. Like,
no. So you want to say something that no one's ever said before, because when men are online dating, they're dating from their own perspective, which is from a place of famine. And women are dating more because they don't have as many matches, whereas women have an inbox just because they're a woman. Their inbox is stuffed.
Is that true for all women? Because a lot of women listen to this show. Are all women, do they have their inboxes stuffed just because they have vaginas? I mean, for lack of a better word?
Any woman will have more matches than any man, for the most part. A super, super hot guy, maybe they'll even out, but the vagina gets you more matches just because guys, all they do, you can go online and see this, and this is actually like a real thing, and this is obviously not super prevalent, but there's this like viral video of it's a hot dog up against the screen of a phone, and someone invented a thing to just swipe right. So the hot dog just does this.
The hot dog is swiping for you.
It's swiping for you. So it swipes right on literally every single woman.
Which I do sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I unmatch later.
And women do not do that.
Why?
Because they don't want to owe something to a guy they didn't want to swipe right on in the first place. So we're more selective. We don't want to get stuck with, oh shit, I swiped right on this guy, and now he's, if it's Tinder, he can write to me. And then you're thinking, oh, should I unmatch him? But then I'll feel bad if I unmatch him.
Okay.
And so women are filtering right from the beginning, whereas men go for quantity and then filter from there.
So you're telling me now, when I Tinder or I match with somebody on one of these apps, how do you start Banter there?
So what you want to do is you want to really pay attention to her profile, which I know takes time, and guys like the hot dog finger, that's clearly not taking any time to look at the girl's profile. But what you want to do is you really want to pay attention to what's in the profile. All the little details, things that you don't think matter, you want to pay attention to. So then you want to take those details and you want to try to connect them somehow. So you want to look for two things within her profile that can overlap or correlate, that you can connect in a clever way. And this is just a little equation or a little technique so that you're guaranteed to say something different. So if, for example, in a woman's profile, it says, this is like a cheesy example, but no one's putting their favorite movie as Titanic, but like, let's just pretend that the woman has her favorite movie is Titanic, but then she also has in her profile that she hates online dating. Okay. So I'm going to, number one, pay attention to those things, to those details. Okay. And then what I'm going to do.
So my banter would be, right there, my banter would be, hey, maybe Rose wouldn't have hated online dating if she made more room on the door.
Close, yeah. Yes. Yeah, essentially something like that, with a little bit more sense to it. Because you don't want to confuse her. Okay. Because if a woman's confused kind of by the opener, it's like this fine line. You want to be clever and unique, but you want it to make sense because you don't want her to be like, what? And then just keep scrolling to a guy that makes sense.
Because this banter thing, too, if we're getting into this, it doesn't just apply to dating. Because I'm sure we've already lost 20 listeners who all said, I got a husband, I got a wife, I don't need this anymore. But banter is whenever you meet someone new.
Yeah, it's whenever you meet someone new. It's great for job interviews. It's great for networking. It's great for,
just getting through a boring day.
Yeah.
Like if you're a nurse, like one of my favorite listeners is a nurse. Frankly, every time she has a patient, banter would be better than conversation.
Yeah, because banter would maybe cheer up the patient. If you're just having a conversation with the patient, sometimes conversation can go heavy and it can go dry and it can be just an exchange of information. And I love how you're checking out
Well,
women
I'm checking.
in bathing
Well, no, I'm
suits. There's
checking
a
because
woman.
I'm realizing though
She's
this one-
hot.
well, she's hot and gonna be spam because right now her profile's in Spanish and she allegedly lives in Dubai.
Yeah,
And she's using travel mode. If this is not a spam bot, but showing people what the hot dog. What did you call it? Hot dog swiping.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Is there a word for this?
Well, no, I just kind of made that up at the
Okay,
moment.
but look at this. But all I'm doing is boop. This is hot. Oh, she is actually hot. But here we go. Visiting New York from London. She's going to be a spam bot too. But I'll just keep swiping and seeing if I get a like. Okay, that was a dude. But you're telling me, guys, a lot of guys do what I'm doing now.
Yep. Oh,
okay,
you got a
here
match.
we go. We got a match. So I am looking for all women over 5'6" in a 96-mile radius. We just matched with a woman named Cece wearing a cowboy hat. She's my age. This is already trouble. All right. I may hit on match pretty damn quick. But okay, I am fun and punchy. That means I'm an asshole. But I try to explain this to people all the time. I'm an enthusiastic sideline cheerleader for one daughter and two boys in Fairfield County, Connecticut. So she lives way too far away, too. We'll get through this later. I root for underdogs. I'm a Jets fan. Oh, my God, I hate her even more. But the most conservative social worker you'll ever meet, okay? She works out sometimes. She drinks socially. She has a picture. She's 40 and has a picture in a cowboy hat. Already trouble. Gets excited about most anything. I'm easily entertained by my own antics. Okay, a lot of the duck face. Again, I will hit on match in a second, but
That's like a crooked duck face.
yeah, there's something wrong. There's bad surgery here. Oh, but there's a picture of Mr. Rogers in her Instagram feed, so that's cute. Okay, now Bumble's different than Tinder.
Yeah, because she has to
She
open.
has to start the conversation. But if
Right.
I were going to open with Cece right now, when you have what would you say? And two, do you just sit there with your clients swiping on Tinder until they match with someone?
No, not at all. So I have profiles that we work on together. So I'll send them, and they're profiles that I use for all of my clients essentially. And so I'll have them go through the profile, gather, the information. I ask them where can they find these correlations or things that they can connect together where they can say something witty about. And so then they're sent on their own. So our sessions are spent working on profiles that are potential profiles. They're not real profiles, but I try to make them as real as possible.
Right.
So we're doing one-on-one work together so that once they're out in the wild,
Because you have, I'm
given
looking
them
at
the
your
skills.
website, kristenandchill.com.
Yeah.
You are expensive.
I am expensive, yeah.
Or maybe you're not, depending on the
Well,
packages here.
yeah.
They're like working backwards, the Banter session, which is what made you catch my eye, $225. A Banter bundle, $650. And then Ghost Texter, not sure what that means, $275. And then a text analysis, $50. Let's work back to Banter session.
So it's a one-off banter session. It's an hour long. We're over the phone and we're talking about it. Sometimes gets a little bit therapy session like because a lot of these guys are really shy. They've really struggled at getting any sort of dates. And so we can sometimes go a little bit deep into what's going wrong, but generally the session is 1 hour of talking about the fundamentals of how to banter and how to be charismatic and how to be playful and fun in conversation. And so we go from like the first part of the call we focus specifically on opinions and why opinions are so important when it comes to banter.
Right.
And we practice having opinions because a lot of these guys are shy. So they are afraid to say their opinions. And so we talk about not only why opinions are so important when it comes to banter, but also how to use opinions. So you don't just state an opinion, you imply an opinion.
So if I match with Chi-Chi, CC, whatever the hell her name was, like you're telling me I should go in with an opinion? I think the Jets stink.
No. So I just open with talking about opinions because that's the foundation of all banter. Then we move on to talking about how to be witty in general and how to open. But we can't be talking about how to be witty and how to open until we've got our opinions down.
Okay, you just hit something interesting there. What are the elements of good banter?
So
Strong opinion,
strong opinions, wittiness, inquiry, but you don't want it to be just asking questions, but you want to learn about the person. So what you learn about the person, you can use either like for them or against them. You know, you can use that stuff to tease. So you want to learn in banter. And you also want to have elements of, depending on how she's responding, but elements of escalation. So if you're just having the same banter the whole time, that's okay. But the best banter, or the guy who's getting the most out of it, not just like physically, but like really kind of building this rapport that's a more sexual rapport, not sexual, but like attraction rapport. Those guys are going to be seen more as boyfriends. So banter keeps you out of the friend zone, but banter that eventually can escalate a little bit is definitely not friend zone. So regular conversation, that's friend zone. So it's like it's pleasant, it's polite, it's yes, it's, you know, that kind of stuff. Another element of banter that you want to have is yes and, kind of like an improv.
Well, like you say, I love yes and.
But there's also an element that would be no but. So you can have yes ands throughout banter, but if you're all yes ands, then you're putting her on a pedestal. You're agreeing with everything she's saying. So then you want to have a couple no buts.
Okay, this is a whole other. We could probably do a whole second podcast with you here. So yes and. Okay, I believe in yes and it's funny. Like right now, I'm trying to find someone whose DMs I have been trying to slide into, and I can't really find anybody I find interesting popping up on my Instagram. God damn it. Like, it's funny. You happen to catch me in a month where I'm just not trying to get any. I'm just so exhausted lately.
It's nice to have a little break from trying to get some. It's exhausting.
It really is. But let's start with that. So yes and now no but. I like yes and.
Yeah.
I feel like no but is just being a dick. But then again, I have on my bookshelf over there a copy of that book from 10 years ago, The Game.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
Yeah,
Where they're like, oh, you got to neg them. You got to neg them. Like, I feel like I got you on the podcast being a nice person.
Yeah.
Okay. If I were trying to sleep with you, what should I have said? Like, I mean, if I were banter, you know what I mean? Like, if I were.
Yeah, it would have been like.
I saw your acting, it sucked. Like, would it be that? Is
no,
that a no. But?
Oh, no buts. No, not at all. So a no but is, so when I referred, we were talking about opinions for a brief second. So in opinions, I said I talk about how to use opinions. So you don't just state your opinion. It's not just a dry no but. Sometimes it can be. In a way of like, you know, if you're a big Kansas City Chiefs fan and I'm a Bills fan.
Using the woman with the Giants example, for example. So
or Jets. She was
Jets. Okay, so she says, I like the Jets. Is my opening, go Giants? Is that a no but?
No, it might be like, well, I mean, this might be a little bit too wise ass, but it could be something like, so if you're into losers, why'd you swipe right on me?
See, now that's funny.
Yeah. Because you're saying you're a winner.
But I don't like that. Oh, all right. Now, that's another one we got to talk about for a second.
But let me just say real quick about the opinion. So it's not about having this no but opinion and just being like this like dad style like lectury, like, no, this is bad. This is good. This is what's, you know, what's quality. This is what's not quality. That's not it. The opinion stuff is looking for ways to build tension and flirt. So if you're agreeing on everything, you can't really build that tension. So you want to disagree on some things. And so I say have really big opinions, animated opinions on small things. So it would be like, so it would be like on ice cream flavors. And so you wouldn't just say, oh, that ice cream flavor sucks. you would instead imply your opinion that the ice cream flavor sucks. So if her favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip ice cream and you think that's the worst, you say something to her like, oh, okay, so you have toothpaste in the morning, at night, and for dessert. So you're implying what you don't like. I don't like mint chocolate chip ice cream, but you're teasing her. And then you could say something like, next time you go to the ice cream place, you should just take your toothbrush with you and have them put it there instead of the cone instead, or something like that. So what you're doing is you're teasing and you're building this tension because she's going to be like, no, mint chocolate chip ice cream's the best.
Okay. How far into a new relationship or a new, not even a new relationship, but a new form of communicating do you start teasing?
Early. Right, you
Like
set the
right
tone.
off the bat?
You set the tone right from the get-go, and those guys
But
do
is that
the
authentic?
best.
Like, I mean, like I enjoyed you and I actually I was remarking on this when you were sitting on the sofa. You didn't say a single goddamn funny thing for the first 10 minutes we were talking, and I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, that's where I would get to on a date once we've passed that point where it's like, okay, we have established we're attracted to each other. Now we can have some normal conversation. But I want to build up this rapport that's I'm attracted to you, you're attracted to me. We've shown that through flirtation. And now it can get more genuine and down to earth.
All right.
If
Now-
I start genuine and down to earth, it's really hard to change tones for you to all of a sudden become the funny guy.
So next
Or
one,
the clever
changing tone or whatever. See, I'll go in sweet and meekish, and you're right. And then I wonder why I get friend zoned or things don't work out. When do you go in with the funny? When do you go in with the twist? When do you go in with the mean? Because I've had friends comment on my interactions with women overall that I turn it into a joke all the time.
Yeah, you want to have a balance. So what I say, so when a client works with me, I send them this really comprehensive email as well as my Banter guide. And what it says is Banter should not be being funny 100% of the time. That will get old real quick. And the girl's going to be like, all right, what else you got? Like, I get it.
Okay. We're at 30 minutes, which is usually I do 20.
Okay.
Would you stick around and do a part 2 on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I like the idea of this because then what I'll do is I'll take a minute to breathe. I'll look at my Instagram. Oh, it's funny. I'm on like 2 different dating websites and I have no matches. There is nobody on earth I want to sleep with right now.
Yeah.
It's really sad. I have no sexual drive whatsoever. But I'll muster up the sexual strength to try to find somebody to flirt with, audience, okay? So if I'm airing this on Sunday, Sunday and Monday, by Wednesday night and into Thursday, we will have me,
Horny.
Tom Kelly, figuring this out. Yeah, by Wednesday, so Monday, So whatever it is, the second show of the week, you'll have part 2. And that's about it, guys. Good night, New York.